A look back at PlayStation Now.
Let's talk about it.
Hello, and welcome to episode 44 of Triangle Square, the PlayStation Podcast. I am your host, Brett Beck, and alongside me, as always, Mr.
Saul Bridges, bringing you a lucky episode number 44.
Gotta get into my winner chicken dinner.
Yeah, there you go.
That's gonna be the new flow. I've decided it from last week when I did it. Even though, did you see one time that Josh said that I sounded like Bane?
Oh yeah, it must have been like the processing on YouTube or something.
Yeah, because I went back and looked at our file. I watched it on YouTube. I was like, I don't hear it, but I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't hear it either. So, but
then again, I don't know what he means. Maybe it was like the way I said it, because I think of it with kind of like a masky filter on it, kind of like, winner.
That makes sense.
I don't know. That's just kind of where I go with it. But, let's not even talk about, because when someone says Bane, you automatically assume that they're talking about the horrid movie that is Dark Knight Rises.
Better than Batman Forever, whichever one had Bane in it the first time.
Did another one have Bane in it?
Yeah, it was the one with
was it the one with
George Clooney and Chris O'Donnell and Uma Thurman?
Yep. I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah,
and that is not a good movie.
No, it's not.
That is not a good movie.
It's a very camel.
Wasn't that Bat Nipples? Wasn't that the Bat Nipples suit?
I'm pretty sure it was. It's a very comical and campy movie though, so I can always watch it and have a good laugh at it. So that's always good. True. Some form of entertainment. But for those that don't know, we are Triangle Square, the PlayStation Podcast. We Brett normally does this, so why don't you go ahead and do that?
I'm going to do that. Yeah, we are Triangle Square, the PlayStation Podcast. If you've never watched us or listened to us, we post every Monday on YouTube in video format at 10 p.m. PST and 12 p.m. CST, and we also post to podcast services of your choice besides those people over there at Spotify who just don't let us. But moving on from that, Saul.
They don't like us. Yes, sir.
What you doing this weekend? What you been up to?
Well, of course, me and Blaze got to play some Monster Hunter last night, which was pretty fun. I know that
Sad reacts only.
Yeah, your PS4 Pro bundle got delayed till Monday. Today, the podcast airs. You'll finally be able to play it, but this is Saturday. So
Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. But other than that, playing a lot of Civilization 6.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that you downloaded Civ 6. So
fun.
Throw me through Civ 6. Any meaningful? Because if I remember back whenever I used to mess around with Civ 4 a little bit, I remember people said before that Civ 2 was like the big one. Like every other Civ is kind of like the big change.
I've seen a lot of negative.
Or it may even been that Civ 3 and Civ 5 were the big changes, where 4 and 6 are.
Well,
incremental.
I've only ever played 5, and the art style is a pretty wild change to me. It's a little more cartoony in a way.
These are the Sid Meier's games, right?
Yeah,
that's what I thought.
And
didn't they do like a Sid Meier's Beyond Earth? Was that a Civilization game?
I think it was, and I think it didn't receive.
But it was like an offshoot one, not a main title.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know enough about his game series to be able to accurately answer that question.
Yeah, me either. But I just remember seeing a game for it that was like, you start a life off in a space colony or whatever. And
I can't think of what that one was called. But Civ 6,
the trailer for it was really cool.
But Civ 6 it's pretty good. It's a lot of people will say that it is not as good as 5, and it's just pretty much whatever your preferences are. I'm enjoying it so far. It's called Beyond Earth.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But it's the same formula. You start out with almost caveman style warriors and fighting against barbarians and other people, and then
you work your way up
to 2050. So it's really cool.
2050.
Yeah, that's pretty much how far it goes in terms of the future.
Okay.
So I was playing Teddy Roosevelt last night, and I'm still in the same game. I had to save it and take a turn, but just enjoying it. Besides that, though, let me think here. I played a lot of games this week, but I've only played a couple of them for like 1 or 2 hours. The Getting Over It game with Bennett Foddy is really fun, but really frustrating.
Getting Over It game.
Yeah, it's
you. Is this a PS4 game?
No, it's on PC.
Okay. Yeah, I forgot. So Saul built his PC build finally. He's extremely excited for himself.
But
I heard you got drunk on that the party chat that followed.
Oh yeah, I did. Super fun. But yeah, that's the game right there. You basically have a pickaxe and you're in a cauldron and you're working your way up the mountain.
Yes, I have seen that.
Super fun game.
Yeah, it looks ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. But yeah.
That's, I've been kind of playing Steam games here and there, but realistically it's Monster Hunter and yeah, trying to test it out. That's what I'm really trying to do. Games? Yeah, I got to play what was it? The vampire game?
Bridge Builder and
no.
Wait, what? The vampire game?
Yeah, Vampire Kid. Is that what it's called?
I have no clue.
It used to be one. I'd never heard of it until Annie brought it to my attention, and she told me I should download it.
I mean, is it like a Flash game?
I think it's either a Flash game or it is a it's a Vampire Boy is what it's called. Maybe
I don't know, man. That's I'm not.
Yeah, it's this right here, Vampire Boy.
Okay.
Looks like that. I've never heard of it either, but she said it's super fun.
We need to throw that into post, I guess, if we can remember to.
Yeah, but
let people see how much ridiculousness that looked like. Which I can't talk. I always talk about Super Mother Load and how much I love the Mother Load, and that's why I was so glad to see Super Mother Load come to PS4.
Yeah.
But, yeah, there's nothing wrong, dude. There's some fun Flash games. There's like a stick one. I can't remember what it's called. Like I think it's Stick City or something like that, where you run around as a stick figure. And the first one was really crappy, and it's like top down. And the second one mixed between top down and like isometric. Super weird.
Well, yeah, like she said that requires a special file on a thumb drive to play too. And I was like, oh, I don't know of any. Yeah, I don't know of anything that does that. But then again, I tried to look at it like a download link and I couldn't find one. So that's really been it, though. What about you this week? You been up to anything?
Yeah, I've been knocking out those platinums. That's what I've been doing. So
you've been knacking out those platinums.
Knacking out those platinums. Yeah. Of course, there's a trophy in those games where you get these knack medals, which I was telling you like last night when I was playing through them. You get challenges per level, and there's like 3. Normally, a couple have got 2 challenges per level, and if you complete the challenge, you get a knack medal. Okay. And you have to get 50 to get one trophy and 70 to get another one. So the trophy for getting to 70, if I'm not mistaken, was you've got a knack for it. And I was like, of course, they think they're the most clever people in the world. But you know what? I still stand by coming back to that game to nab the platinum. All it took was finishing through my second playthrough. And once I did that, I was like, just a couple of challenges away. And then I had to go do the and actually, these are kind of cool. I would have almost liked to see more of them, but at the same time, I'm glad because this was like I was hoping to get the platinum. I'm like, well, since I don't have Monster Hunter, I'm going to grab this platinum over the weekend, and I was able to get it last night, so I'll be able to start something small tonight and wait until Monday. But there's they added as extra content or whatever. They take segments from different parts of the game and they make time trials, and there's 5 of those and 3 Coliseum attacks. And the way that they did the time trials is like you take a slice of the game and you have these little portals and like as knack, and you could choose different crystal knacks because I had 2 of them. I had topaz, yellow topaz or orange topaz, whatever it is. Topaz is that weird color. But crystal knack, and I also had the blue one. He was like speedy knack. So I was using speedy knack to run quicker.
Yeah. Naturally.
And what ended up working out is like you have these little green portal that you'll kind of fly through, and they give you like 1 second, 1 second, 1 second, 1 second. Then you have these little yellow ones that if you jump through, they give you like a boost. And you run a little bit quicker, and when you kill enemies, you get time back, but it's also like a balance of how much time you're going to waste killing the enemies versus how much time you're going to gain.
Yeah.
And go through. But those were really fun and challenging enough that I wasn't able to beat every single one of them on my first try. But it's also kind of changing the way you play the game to know, like, okay, well, I got to get through here. I've got to throw my little boomerang thing that locks up the people on to one so I can kill this other, then kill him easy. It was fun. It was a good challenge. So that was up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I managed to get that. And then I was like, I'm going to go shower and go to bed. But outside of that, so yeah, it's been Knack 2, Need for Speed. I think I may have gotten the platinum for that last time, actually. I think that was last week. By the time that we had recorded, and now I'm probably going to try.
No, I don't think that was last week. You got that like Tuesday.
Oh, maybe. I'm not sure.
I thought.
It very well could be.
Or Monday.
But anyway, outside of that, I'm trying to figure out, I think the next platinum I'm going to go to, because I'm going to try and do 3 a month on average, if I can. And I think I'll be able to kind of overdo that with a couple of games I've been needing to play, like Guardians of the Galaxy, the Telltale series. I need to get that going since it's all released finally. Once they have all of Batman released, I'll probably pick up Batman and hit through that because those are pretty good. But I think I'm going to go through, like I was telling you, like Diablo, since you have to get 500 for the batting 500 trophy, 500 bounties. I'm just going to start doing like 10 of them every night before I go to bed, and just like in the course of like a month or maybe even a couple of weeks, I'll just roll through the remaining. I guess that'll be because I have like 170 to do.
Oh.
So
that's not bad.
If I do 10 every night, 17 nights. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not that
3
bad.
3 weeks.
and then I'll have the platinum for that more or less because the only other trophy I have is to break a bunch of crap. That's it's. I think it's like get a destruction streak of 50. But
wow.
I plan on really hopping. I picked up Dragon Ball Fighters, but have not played it yet. That's what I plan to play this afternoon. It looks beautiful, and I love the case I made for it.
Well, I was gonna say if you and Blaze hop on, and then we can maybe get Ryan. If any of you guys picked up Monster Hunter and you want to play with us, just let us know. We always leave our PSN IDs down in the description below,
yep. And that'll be Monday when I have time to set my new system.
Right, it'll be.
I'm hoping I can do that at lunch.
Well, I was gonna say it will be.
But if it's UPS, it probably won't be until 8 at Monday.
Yeah,
Ugh,
I was gonna say
I hate it.
I won't be able to play Monday either since my schedule doesn't allow for that. So, but I will be able to play Tuesday night with everybody. So, Tuesdays are pretty much my normal days.
Okay. Yeah, that may be a game. Do we know how much of can you only have 4 people in your lobby?
I don't know. I can Google that real quick.
Yeah, do that real quick because if you can have a little bit more, I feel like it's probably 4 though. Even then, with 4 people, that may be a game that we can hop into community plays and kind of start doing those because I think that's a pretty fun idea. Let people play with us together. I may actually even download Fortnite just to do the occasional community play along with that because I think that'd be really cool to do. And that's a good game for it. You're just hopping in.
Yeah, like Fortnite is one of those games that can take either like 30 minutes and you're dead, or 45 minutes and you're getting close to winning. So, yeah. Or it could take 3 minutes and you're starting another game. So, I think it's 4-player, but I haven't found a definite answer for that.
We'll
yet.
Find out. We'll try whenever I get the console. We'll kind of mess with that idea. But Saul, how about you go ahead and hop into the drop?
Sure thing. Got a little bit of a lengthy one this week, so buckle in, fellas. It's and ladies. It's we got Bricks 2 for PS4, Cold Iron for PSVR, Dissidia Final Fantasy NT for PS4. That's available retail as well as digital. EA Sports UFC 3 for PS4. Once again, available retail as digital. Feral Fury for PS4. Frutakia.
Feral Fury?
Yeah, Feral Fury. It's like a little panda guy on the front right here. Pandas. There's like 3 of them. They're all in armors. So we have Frutakia 2 for PS4. Nightmares from the Deep 3, Davy Jones, PS4. Never heard of Nightmares from the Deep 1 or 2. So that's super weird. Out of Ammo, second PSVR title of the week. We have the Purehead Arcade for PS4.
That Out of Ammo looks like a Minecraft mod.
Oh, I didn't even realize these were people. I thought these were structures. Like wood structures or something. That's, not a fan of block stuff like that. Railway Empire for PS4, available retail and digital. Restless Spirit for PS4. Striker's Edge for PS4. Time Recoil for PS Vita, first PS Vita game of this week. We have Wolverblade for PS4, and that is the last title of the week. So far this week, just nothing really. Something here for someone, I'm sure, but nothing for me. Except Final Fantasy Dissidia. I just completely forgot about that.
I don't know when I'm going to pick up Dissidia.
I don't either.
But I do want it.
I know I'll probably pick it up when it drops to probably 30 or 40. Not going to pay retail price for that.
With it coming out directly alongside, or not directly, but so close
Monster
to
Hunter,
Dragon Ball
as
a fighter
Ball,
game. I feel like that's going to be a little weird. But
well, yeah, and then you have Shadow in 2 weeks, or is it next Friday?
It's the 6th, so it's next.
Okay,
it's
2
the
weeks.
Tuesday following.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and hop into the news real quick and get this show going.
Yes, sir.
First thing is that Epic Games have announced that they will be shutting down the servers for Paragon, their third-person MOBA. This comes after months of shifting development resources to Fortnite. Funny enough, we were talking about that. After its release saw Paragon's player count shrink pretty substantially. The servers will officially close on April 26, 2018, almost 2 years after the Essentials edition released on PS4. In light of this news, Epic has announced that they will be providing refunds to all players, not through your platform holder. You actually do reach out to them directly, and they will refund you. That's interesting.
Good on them.
Because
that's the first time.
By no means do they need to do that.
No.
But I think that they realize that they're shutting this game down early, and people made these purchases thinking they'll be able to use them for years to come. And B, I think that they are making so much money off of Fortnite that they aren't necessarily hurting for money, so the PR swing is good.
I don't think I've ever heard of a company that has shut down a game and given people refunds. Has that ever happened?
I'm not sure. The game's been free to play for so long, so the refunds are not for the game itself as
it's
much
for
as for the items,
Founders Edition and the items and stuff.
So how is that going to work, though? Does that mean that they've technically made no money through the whole 2 years they kept the game open?
I think what happens is that since the money they used for the resources they made, because I did play the beta for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It was all right, but they did have a big update that did not get advertised that well, where games that went from 90 minutes long that were really, and like the little mobile abilities, they got fine-tuned because they use a card system, which was really unique.
I remember someone telling me about that.
I think it was me, but yeah, so they changed up the card system to have more mobile-like abilities and make more sense to use, and they cut down the matches to like 45 minutes is a long match from what I've read online now. So, that didn't really advertise that at all, and so a lot of people had problems with those elements of the game that didn't play it. It was fixed, and they didn't let anybody know.
And come back. Well, yeah.
So, super good on them, though, for at least refunding.
Yeah.
I guess that game is Paragon.
I thought it. But I was like, I'm just not going to say the cringeworthy pun. But you know what?
No, we're all punny today.
Next thing up, and this one's actually super exciting, but new motion controllers could be on the way. Very specific word, could be on the way from Sony. 2 new patents filed by Sony show a new motion controller with an analog stick, a much requested feature across everybody who uses the Move controllers, as well as finger tracking technology similar to the prototype Knuckles controllers from Valve. I don't know if you've seen that, where you slide your fingers through.
Super cool.
The patents also they also reference to the controller being tracked by the head-mounted display, which is the actual PSVR unit itself, where the screen is in-house and everything that goes on your head, which suggests that the new head-mounted display revision could be coming, and it would be one that had cameras for tracking the controllers separately or in conjunction with the PlayStation camera. They didn't really go into it on the patents, but it looked really interesting. So, I mean, and now that specific thing is just wording, but how would the headset track without cameras? So if they can figure that out, and it would make more sense to do it in conjunction.
Because with cameras, because that's more accurate.
With the Move camera. That way it's doing both. Yeah. But see, my only thing is that while I say this could also be the moving forward of an idea for the next VR iteration that comes with PS5 or whenever they decide to do it. But my point being is it may not even be compatible with PSVR. And if so, when you see whatever is inevitably the PSVR 2 or whatever you want to call it, will it even use the camera? Because I have a feeling that the next iteration is going to move away from the camera and the light-mounted tracking, because it's the least reliable of all the VR on the... No, don't get me wrong, it's not awful. It's just the least reliable.
But they could do it
considering they're already on top of the VR, industry. They are the biggest VR people in the industry. It would make sense for them to, with their next big move of the headset, move away from the thing that gives them the most criticism. They're already on top, even with the worst reliability and tracking. Imagine if they got something more reliable and also have the, they stand to grow a lot more.
I think that they can actually improve, though, with the Vive in the terms of using the cameras, because if the new PlayStation headset...
using cameras is fine, but the light-mounted tracking specifically is what I think we're moving away from.
I'm just stating that, because you made a mention last episode or the episode before that the PS VR camera can't do 360 motion, and that would be super cool for them to be able to implement 360 head tracking.
Yeah, when we were talking about the 2 different cameras that they normally place with the Vive and the stuff.
Yeah,
or the Rift, one of the 2. I can never remember.
Something like that. That as an added feature, and then Sony could be a little bit more. What's the word I'm looking for here? Lenient, I guess, with some of the VR games that could get put on the store.
I'm not sure. I guess you kind of mean which ones they'll approve to go through?
Yeah, because games I don't know if we'll ever see something like VR chat.
I feel like the reason is that that's something that thrives because of a modding community.
Well, yeah, no, but even I'm just talking about the nature.
Yeah.
The nature of goofiness and stuff like that.
Sure. Well, no, I think you see that with Accounting Plus and stuff like that. You're seeing these
I guess you're
comedy-based games.
Yeah, you're right.
But yeah, they're always going to be different on computer, where you've got some of people making free-to-play games and ridiculous stuff.
I'm pretty sure VR chat's free to play or whatever, and it does rely on 100% mods. And I know that's something.
I figured. Next thing up, and this is more just interesting because I saw it. Sony Bend have been posting on their Twitter that they are looking for play testers in their home area of Bend, Oregon, to specifically play Days Gone, which, of course, what else would they be working on, I figured. But my assumption is that with that news, it's good. It's basically saying that, or you assume. Because they normally have playtesters for most games, from my understanding, anyway, in games. But when they make it verbal, not verbal, but when they make it public like this, that's one thing. It's okay, well, they obviously want people to know that they're specifically trying out Days Gone, so... And the fact that they're doing it in such a public forum like Twitter, we were talking about, is the game going to come this year? I almost imagine it has to now, right? Which we almost imagined that it had to anyway, because it keeps being put on list for from confirmed 2018.
Well, Sony just make like an advertisement
that said
graphic
2018 and it had it on.
It had that on there.
Yeah.
It had Detroit and Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it might not have had Spider-Man.
And moving into release dates, actually, and yes, it did have Spider-Man on it.
Did you before we go too far away? Did you hear that the little fake thing about Spider-Man was leaked for February 27th? People said that's way too close to God of War, and then another
why in the world would it be February 27th and we don't even know about it?
April 27th. First of all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's too close to God of War. But then they said it could be what was it? Was it May or June?
Why do I feel like that's a great summer game? Like I just feel like that's a
feel like Spider-Man
summer game.
Yeah, it might be because of the Marvel.
Isn't
thing
there
in my head.
a Spider-Man movie of some sort coming out in the Into the Spider-Verse animated one coming out this summer?
I have no idea, but I'm pretty sure that every Spider-Man movie has always come out in May 4th or 3rd.
Yeah,
because it's always my birthday.
They're getting to that spring/summer thing where people will actually go watch movies and play games like that. I feel like that's a great time because kids are going to love playing Spider-Man. I'm fairly positive. And teenagers, kids who are in school, it's a good time to release whenever they have a break.
Yeah,
at least in my opinion. And we saw that Sony's not shying away from releasing stuff in the summer. So, it's not like they just flooded the summer, but they weren't. It's weird because there used to always be a drought in the summer, and you're like, so the summer just is my time to catch up, but now that almost doesn't exist anymore. But speaking of release dates, like we were talking about, God of War received a new story-driven trailer that showed us more of the world and the characters in Kratos and Atreus' upcoming adventure. Alongside this trailer, we finally received a release date of April 20th, so like Saul was saying, the 27th for Spider-Man would be ridiculous. Hot off the heels of this, some have taken to the web to start controversy over a perceived graphical downgrade from previous vertical slices of the game that we were shown at E3 and PSX. I mean, not PSX, but PSX it was there, but Paris Games Week, PGW. And all I have to say to that is, it wouldn't be a big game release if somebody wasn't trying to crap all over the fact that there was a downgrade. In my opinion, you can visually see it. There are differences, but they are not downgrade differences. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple textures here and there that you can sell, and it's not textures; it's the lighting on the textures that's different.
Yeah, exactly.
And we don't know why that is.
The serpent scene they were talking about, like the artist came out to talk about it, and he was saying like some of the scenes are now in a different context throughout the time of day and events that are happening around it. So while the events and the acting are the same, what's going on in the world, they've decided to change a little bit. And that, like we originally saw the serpent in kind of like a really cloudy, foggy, murky kind of weather.
Yeah.
And now it's still in a lake from what he's saying, but it's like very sunny and really bright.
Okay.
And but even then changes, I have not seen anything in that I would perceive as a downgrade. But that's something that's common. If you remember, Uncharted 4 got crapped all over for having a downgrade, and then the game actually came out to look even better than what they showed at E3.
Especially the demo they showed at E3, the very buggy demo.
Oh, the one that
kept crashing, or it kept crashing. It did crash once or twice.
It just crashed. Yeah, it crashed once, and then the controller wasn't working the second time.
That's what it was. Yeah,
but yeah, they put a trophy in the game after that. I don't know if you remember that or not. There was a trophy at that exact spot where when it loaded in, if you didn't touch the controller for 30-something seconds or whatever, you got a trophy to pop, and it had something to do with the E3
That's
stage.
clever.
Yeah, it was fun.
That's really clever.
Okay, so sticking on God of War to an extent, after God of War's April release date was revealed, some began to worry that Detroit would be moved to summer to give God of War space. Like we're talking about, hopefully they're not trying to stack up all this stuff side by side, but Quantic Dream reaffirmed that it will still release in spring. So with that being said, spring ends, June 12th, 20th, something like that? So if you're dealing with June, where do you think it's the April game now, Saul?
I think it's going to be the April game.
So where does that put this Spider-Man that is being leaked?
Well, see, the problem is that God of War is April. And
I mean May. That's what I
was going to say.
May is where I was thinking.
I keep thinking for whatever reason, I keep thinking of God of War in February, and it won't get out of my mind.
And that's because in my mind they've always released in March.
It would be super cool that if Detroit came out in May, and then Spider-Man came out in July.
So here's the thing, though: April, May, June has nothing, and then July has something.
June is always
no, you're fine. I'm just
insignificant in terms of.
Do you not still feel like that's really close? That's the only thing. You're getting weird now. I mean, if they can really manage, and they very well could, and these games are big enough and different enough that I think you could do give God of War a whole month to itself. So let's say that Detroit releases like May 26th or something like that. Where God of War has a whole month and then a couple of days all by itself. Detroit comes out. It's really for a different audience anyway, outside of the normal hardcore PlayStation people that are going to buy the exclusives anyway. So it has its own month or two to give it a little bit. And then outside of that, with what you're saying, yeah, sure. Let's just say July for, for
Detroit
Spider-Man.
or Spider-Man, yeah.
All right, so if we have July for Spider-Man, does that move us back into what we were originally talking about? How I really feel like it's going to be an August, September release date for Days Gone if it's anywhere? That would be almost every month they would have a bam, 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 bam. And if you include this month with Shadow, yeah, that's a lot, man.
It is.
But at the same time, I feel like that's where we are, because how else do they release these games without interfering? And maybe we do actually see them for the first time in a while interfere with third-party releases in the
December realm and November realm.
I don't think so, man. That's so crazy to me, but it's possible.
I don't think though.
See, but where's Dreams? Because we've been told Dreams is this year.
Yeah, I don't think
unless Dreams is a 2018. I mean, unless Dreams is a December title.
Yeah,
because December is kind of after everything. If it's like a late December title,
I could see them using Dreams, marketing in a way with Christmas stuff in it and Christmas decorations, and then releasing for Christmas.
Yeah.
Or like 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
Maybe early December as well, like something like that.
That's not actually a bad idea. I think you're right. Parents would look at it. Are you dying over there?
I am. It's something I have to tell you after the show. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to say it on the air.
Is it something in our PlayStation chat?
It's something in our PlayStation chat with me and John, but it's something that happened another notification popped up, and I thought it was for PlayStation chat for a second. I was like, man, okay. Pizza emoji and all.
Oh man. Okay. Well, let's finish this up. In an interview with official PlayStation Magazine, OPM otherwise known, it was revealed that the script for Metro Exodus is larger than both 2033's and Last Light's combined, which is crazy. Because think about that for a second. Last Light's like 15 hours and 2033's like 12
books,
hours.
Though. So
yes.
I am curious as to the script versus the dialogue in the book. And
well, I think the series is based off of a book, but I don't think this is going to be based off of a book specifically. And I'm not
too familiar with the works. I can't think of his name. It's a very Russian guy. I can't think of his name, but I can't think of if Exodus is going to be based off of a book or not.
Is it Yu-Gi-Oh, boy? Exodus?
Exodia, obliterate. Exodus. I know, calm down. I've been playing a little bit too much Duel Links
Anyway,
lately.
while you're looking at that, in the same interview, they reassured that while the developers aim to optimize the game fully for Xbox One X, like they showed, considering it came out on Microsoft's E3 conference, the same treatment will be given to the PS4 Pro, so they will fully optimize and use every bit of the power that they can get out of the PS4 Pro, which is not surprising to me. The developers, A4, if I'm not mistaken, is their thing.
Is that after
Man,
books?
dude, they absolutely killed the I could not believe how good Last Light looked on PS3. It was a 1080p game. It ran smooth. I never had a frame drop in that game. I couldn't believe it. I mean, I still kind of can't believe it.
I can see. Playing.
Because really, what's funny is that specifically playing Last Light on PS4 and even on PC, it doesn't look that much better than it did on PS3 anyway. Whereas
it doesn't.
2033 looks a lot better.
That's what I was going to say. Is that even 2033 in the very beginning of the game is very bland, and it really kind of gets better, especially when
those games are amazing
outdoors and such. Super fun games.
But I love those games. Last up on mine, and this is kind of more news that I found interesting because there was a good bit of smaller news like For Honor's getting season 4 and 5, but I just can't speak on that from any kind of real experience myself. So, but the last thing up is that Twisted Metal and God of War creator David Jaffe's studio, and the greatest studio name of ever, just because it's ridiculous long and shows that nobody cares, is the Bartlett Jones Supernatural Detective Agency. Have been hit by massive layoffs, due in part to the cancellation of their latest project, with the other part, I assume, being that Drawn to Death wasn't a huge performer.
Yeah.
But the studio had to let go of the majority of its developers. They've been putting out blogs all week talking about that they're most likely going to put a video together showing what the project they were working on was. Some people are pushing them to try and do Kickstarter to get it going. I don't know. Well, we'll see. I think this much, regardless of how Drawn to Death was, fully received from a commercial and critical standpoint. His games are always really interesting and unique.
Yeah.
And if nothing else, I like seeing them. Now, maybe if it's trying to figure out, but I feel like the budget for Drawn to Death wasn't that bad, but you don't know. If we can kind of get him in the realm of budgets that make sense for him and let him keep making interesting games, I would hope to see so. I mean, I think he's probably safe in general, but it is unfortunate that the rest of the people laid off. Now, I thought this was really cool. When he posted the tweet up, a bunch of different developers in the area were actually saying, hey, we have a lot of spots open, Ready at Dawn being one of them. And they're in similar areas, so that is pretty cool. Looks like nobody's going to be really out of a job, hopefully. But that is it on the news segment for me. We skipped reader mail last time, so we gotta get that reader
Let me
mail.
go ahead and get one from our messages real quick, because El Shabib did send us one in a message, which means he really wants that answered.
Yeah, he did that last week too.
Yeah, so
we forgot about it until the very end. So.
I definitely don't mind that either. It's something kind of personal for us in a way. If my computer will load up messages, here we go. So he says, hey guys, question for the upcoming podcast. With the immense success of GTA 5 and long-time appearance on the NDP, what future games do you think will achieve this status? Do you think Red Dead 2 will do that?
Red Dead 2 Redemption.
Well, I keep wanting to read that as R2D2. Can do that. Any of the upcoming multiplayer games? Thanks. So that's a really hard one to answer, because Overwatch probably is the closest one as far as multiplayer games goes.
Yeah. See, so it is weird, but I mean, even then, let's just say Overwatch is Overwatch. Great. Overwatch hit massive, crazy numbers.
Yeah, it's not going to hit the numbers that Grand Theft Auto is going to hit for sure.
And it's been on the NPD forever, but Minecraft has still been on the NPD far longer and still charts, still shows up. So, I mean, realistically, Minecraft is a game that's mirrored that success, or really they've mirrored each other's successes, considering how long they've both been out and been around. Minecraft a little bit longer, but Minecraft and Grand Theft Auto both have legs.
Yeah.
Now, I think that enough people I've seen, now this is like closed what you see around the people you know, so this is no way for me to scope big wise, but I do know a lot of people that I specifically know are really big into Grand Theft Auto 5 and play Grand Theft Auto 5 a lot, are extremely excited for Red Dead.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of them liked Red Dead 1's online, and I feel like they are going to naturally move into Red Dead Redemption 2's online. But I also have the idea that I don't know that Grand Theft Auto 5 will ever die on its own unless we actually see support completely stop from
Rockstar.
If that happens, I don't know. Why would they do that, though?
Yeah.
As long as people are still coming to it and spending the money, it makes financial sense to continue leaving at least a team putting it on there.
It's definitely a big money train.
How long it'll last is going to be depending on how long people's interest in it lasts, even when the next big Rockstar game comes out. Depending on the fact that they are kind of different games, there's a chance that Grand Theft Auto 5 can float all the way until Grand Theft Auto 6 is here. And then we either see that version of Grand Theft Auto Online close, or we see it transition into what's also going to be the other side of 6. I feel like it would close and open as a new one.
It probably would, yeah.
But maybe carrying over in some sense. Like if you have characters and money, you can carry it over, but I don't know.
Well, I do know that a lot of people on the GTA Online subreddit, they are going to Red Dead Redemption instead of staying on 5. So
from what you're seeing within stories,
what I'm seeing within communities is that. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, I think Overwatch is, as far as multiplayer games goes, has the thing that can has the best chance at hitting those numbers. Besides other games like Minecraft, I guess, because Minecraft makes sense. But I'm trying to think of games in the same realm.
Yeah, and I mean, really, I don't know. It's Grand Theft Auto 5 is like a freak success story. I don't even think they expected it to be that good.
I don't think they did
popular.
Either. I do know that online's super fun, and it's completely different from the story in a sense, and it's quality. It really is. Just it's killed, by microtransactions in some ways. Nothing too extreme that I've noticed, at least. Sean Santarud has asked. He said, "I asked the Square XO guys this. Big shout out to Square XO, another PlayStation podcast. Guys, this last week, but." Oh, hold on here. Computer just completely went down and back up. But what game release this year do you think will be a surprise hit like Nier Automata and Hellblade this year? I don't know why I keep saying it wrong. Days Gone. I think Days Gone is going to be the big surprise for me this year. I think that just from what I've seen, the way, and that could,
I feel like it's being pushed in a very different light than Nier, though. Nier is a real surprise hit because of the roots of what it's come from. It's a sequel to a series that has traditionally done bad, and normally sequels don't do as well as previous ones. Definitely, if people didn't play them, most people don't want to hop into prequels into sequels of a
dead game.
With that being said, it's honestly amazing that so many people who haven't even played the original Nier came into Automata. Thankfully, because you don't have to play the original Nier. There's just fun nods to it.
Yeah,
but the fact that people were so open and willing at the beginning, and because of word of mouth, and it doesn't hurt that it's got a superb story and superb gameplay, and it really looks and runs fairly well. Does not have, I mean, performance wise, I'm playing on Pro, but I never had any issues. Whereas Drakengard and Nier both have frame drops at a lot of parts. So, I mean, it's probably the best example of a Yoko Taro game coming together in every way that's going to make it or break it.
Yeah, and I don't think I had any issues.
And with Hellblade was one of those weird things, too, where it was, again, an unknown quantity. Everybody's like, well, it kind of seems exciting and it looks cool, but it is what they're calling indie AAA. What does that mean? How exactly does that work from a play space? I don't know that we've seen anything announced just yet that I agree is going to hit that much of like I don't want to say a sleeper hit, but kind of. It's weird. I feel like you could be right with Days Gone, because Days Gone, it's got a lot of people that are excited and then a lot of people that are cautiously excited, if that makes sense. Like, they look, oh, it's cool, it looks all right, but we don't know much about Sony Bend. A lot of people don't know who Sony Bend are at all.
Yeah,
so they're like, looking at this, what exactly does this mean for us? I think that people are like cautiously excited. Now, does that mean that I agree that it's in the same realm? I don't really know. I feel, see, because he's going off of a release, so it's going to be released next year. What do I think it'll be?
This year.
Oh, that's what I meant. Sorry, this year. Man, I'm still not used to saying this year yet.
Yeah, I'm not either.
Sean, I think you stumped me. I don't really know the answer. I feel like I will need to look a little bit further into the year and let some more stuff get announced to see what exactly is going to happen. From what we saw last year, I don't know. The only thing I would say that could be, and I very loosely say could be, because it's a game that I feel like has got some attention, but it very well may not end up doing too well. Code Vein has a chance of being just a weirdly massive success. And I say weirdly because, again, people are kind of on what they've seen. And it's also an unknown quantity, just like Hellblade was. It's like, well, what is this going to be? It's trying to be a Souls-like, but with an anime approach. But I feel like there's something to be said there. And what I might say is, surprise hit, again, it's so hard to say. Dreams is going to be one of these ones that completely sinks if it releases this year, or just kills it. You know what I mean? I don't see that game doing mid ground. I don't see it being just okay. I think either people are going to absolutely love it and it'll be embraced in such a crazy way, or it'll just be dropped to the ground. And that sucks, because I do also think that mentality goes all the way through to Media Molecule as a studio. I think this is a make or break game for them. If it doesn't go well, I don't know that we see Media Molecule anymore.
Probably not, yeah.
But I'm going to stick with those two. I do think that Code Vein has a weird chance from what I've seen. And then, and then Dreams. Those are my answers.
I think based off the trailer you just showed me, Dead Cells could be very well that for my Hellblade release. A smaller game.
And I'm going to let that be kind of, I'm with you. That does look amazing.
It does. I just really hope it plays as well as it looks it plays.
And sadly, they still exist in a separate realm than these not even AAA games, but these bigger games. That's obviously an indie game. How much of an audience can it really hit like that? You know what I mean? And I guess it does depend on what he means, like a surprise hit. But I do think he's saying hit from the likes of how well they've sold versus how well they've been critically received. Because both Hellblade and Nier were well received critically and commercially.
Yeah, that makes sense. Richard
Good
Riviero.
Question, Sean. Good question.
Yes. Richard Rivero.
I've done that too.
I don't know why I keep doing that. Do you guys miss PlayStation Home? I do. It was a cool place to hang out and meet people to play with, or to game with. So yeah, I was telling Brett this. I don't know if I've ever played it before, but then when I went back and looked at screenshots, I remember bits and pieces. So I definitely didn't play a lot of it. So I'm gonna have to let Brett answer this question, because what I remember is what Brett kind of described it to me as was a Sims style game.
It's like a really it sounds bad saying this, but it's like a really crappy version of Sims, but not really. I thought PlayStation Home was really fun and a cool idea, and really one of those odd PS3 gen Sonys where they're like, we got to do something interesting that makes us look different and shine, just like you're seeing Microsoft do this generation. I think it was a cool idea. I was really sad to see when they were saying it wasn't going to transition to the PS4, not even because I put a lot of time into it, but more because of the possibilities of it. Definitely with like Ryan responded on here and said in PSVR, and how great would that be? That game in VR would be really cool. And you know what's funny? Exactly like what you're talking about with wanting VR to have VR chat.
Yeah, that could be great. Yeah, that's all. I smirked. I'm like, that would work.
It's a hangout style game, and I mean, there was a lot of really cool ideas of what happened there. It was a waste of time in a lot of ways, but it was fun, and you met a lot of people. And definitely for people like Ryan and people who don't have a lot of, even around here, there's not a big community. Ryan meets a lot of his friends from conventions or online or whatever it be. And I noticed he plays with a lot of people that aren't even anywhere near him. So he is one of the people that is really a good thrive for. He can hop in there, meet people who are like-minded, who share similar interests, and he can go in there. And it's just a cool way to, like, those times that we've been literally in a game's menu lobby or whatever, and we've been chatting for like an hour, not even playing anything.
Not even playing a game. Like last night,
we could just be doing that at home.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It'd be fun.
I feel like it should come back. Will it come back? Sadly, I don't think so. But yeah, that's a good question too, because PlayStation Home, hardly anybody talks about it anymore, but it was a cool idea.
Last question of this episode, we have most from Ryan Turismo Mudrunner, Ryan GT, the guy we were just talking about, one of our good PSN buddies. Most anticipated game of 2018, unless you've answered this. Just one, no runners up. Mine's Ace Combat 7, mostly for the return of strange real story and gameplay, but also that the VR I haven't been able to stop thinking about since PSX 2016.
Yeah, he was really, and I was actually bummed too, because I did not get to get into the VR thing that they had set up. It was a cool cockpit setup for Ace Combat. I did not get to try that out, and I was really hoping it would be there this year, and it was not. They were actually nowhere on the. I was really surprised because that game is imminent. I really thought that they would be trying to push the VR again. But I'm sure they had their reasons. Maybe it was show floor constrictions or whatever. But there was a lot more room. I feel like there would have been a way for them to squeeze in. That's a good answer, and I think that his main reason, like he says, the VR is extremely interesting. When they announced VR, and then when they did their little sizzle reel after VR, and they were like games coming up for it, and they showed Ace Combat 7, I was like, what a perfect game.
Yeah.
Just those kind of games naturally thrive on the platform, and as long as they're done right, and people take the time to make sure that it's smooth, and like when you're in it, you're not getting sick or anything like that. That's a fun game for that situation. Now, I've not traditionally been a flight simulator person. I played a few of the Ace Combats, but never just dived into them. But Ryan's one of those people. If he likes something, and hearing him talk about it almost makes you excited about it, even though I don't traditionally care. I'm almost excited just to play it because
everybody else is
that
excited.
Might be what the VR may be what makes me understand it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like being in the headset's like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because like I still need to do this, and I've been I need to set up my steering wheel again with the VR, and I need to play Gran Turismo in VR because I feel like there's something about that added level of immersion where it's like, even though I've liked Gran Turismo before, I've never just given my entire life to any of the series besides maybe 3 at the most, and I was younger and had way more time. But that's the game I've given the most to. But the ability to literally just be in the cockpit of a car and feel and look, and that sense of speed wrapping around your head, even though I haven't done it yet, with the VR that I have played, I know it's going to like probably change my life. I don't know. Weird thing to say, but I really do think that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good one.
No runners up, nothing else.
I know. Ryan always gets me with that.
Yeah, just one answer and one and done.
Okay, because of everything that's around right now, as excited as I am for everything else, it's God of War.
Okay.
And it's specifically God of War because it's a franchise that I thought we wouldn't see anymore because of how bad Ascension did. And it's a series I love, even Ascension. Ascension was really good. It was just the weakest of the games. And no matter how good you are, you're always going to be compared in that way. It's never good to be the weakest if you can keep from it. But with all that being said, I think God of War looks to take the franchise. Like, I'm so excited that they're keeping Kratos into this. I'm excited with the gameplay direction they're taking with it. I feel like within the realm of what God of War is and has been and what it can be, this is the best move. They are still doing something that while they're pulling it up to your shoulder in a different camera setup and a free turnable camera, everything that I've seen so far still looks like God of War.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of that does come from the fact that they did decide to keep Kratos, and they are not being scared to take liberties with where they want to go with who he can be as a character. And I think that they are really utilizing the fact that he is immortal, and he's an immortal being. And people with an immortal lifespan can go through a lot more changes because they don't die than you see with a person who has a finite, life. Over thousands of years, hundreds of years, he's going to change. That's just going to happen. Yeah. So letting us see that change and not being afraid to, what if people just who didn't like him before have issues? Screw it. I like what they're doing. They're taking good liberties with him, and they're trying to show us sides of his character that we saw glimpses of in the previous games, even though people want to pretend that we didn't. And they're taking good liberties. So I'm excited. The story trailer, I was able to maintain my hype all the way until that story trailer came. That story trailer just set me off.
It looks great. Yeah.
I mean, literally, I went from being like, it's going to be good, I'm going to get it, to like, how am I going to wait until April 20th now? The sense inside of me is actually the last time I felt this about a God of War game, and there's been a few of them since, has been God of War 3 very specifically.
Yeah, so we're a little bit less than 3 months away, so got to contain your juices. But for me, it's hard to not make a tie because right now it is tied. So I will just say Dark Souls Remastered is probably the one I'm looking forward to the most because that was the one that I did not get to play the most of. I did play a lot of it. I didn't get to get as far as I wanted, and I'm looking forward to Blighttown again. I really want to see how Blighttown's going to be. If it's going to be playable, I'm sure it is. And yeah, the other game it's side with, you fight big creatures. So obviously we all know what that is. I'm just not going to say the name because he said no runner-ups. But
okay,
big creatures.
Off the heels of Demons, or of Dark Souls, how do you feel about the campaign that started up with Demon Souls, trying to get Demon Souls remastered? How successful do you think that they will be?
Oh, very successful. That will 100% sell as much as Dark Souls 3 did.
Well, I'm talking about how successful do you think the campaign to get it brought back was?
Oh, probably not. It's not probably going to work. Now, I know Miyazaki is a nice guy, but to be honest, would be. Here's
the thing: is Miyazaki even directly involved with the Dark Souls remake or remaster?
I'm sure it is. I'm sure he's the one that picked the team to put on for the remake because I know Bluepoint's not doing it. I can't think of who is.
Is From doing it, or do you think he specifically chose the outside studio to do it?
Oh, I don't know.
That's a good question. We need to look into those things. Because here's the thing. I don't know. With Bluepoint doing so well with what they've done with aforementioned non-big name fight or big fighting game, we can say it now, whatever. Shadow Colossus.
But you can't change up Demon Souls. That's the problem, is that you can't add jump. You can't add a new engine to it. You have to
No. I don't even mean that. Now, when I say engine, no. Adding jump, while I would like that, here's the thing. I want Bluepoint to handle it in the exact way they're handling Shadow of the Colossus, where the only additions they are adding is actually superfluous things that are just on the outside, like a camera mode, because a lot of games are doing that, and it's a pretty game. But they are not changing the fundamental game.
Okay, I can see that then.
So if you gave it to a team like Bluepoint, and they said, okay, here we are. This game has a very strong core that people love. So what do? We do the same thing we did with Shadow. We look at that core and we go, here's the very foundation. We cannot change this no matter what we do. So what do we change?
Then they go,
okay.
Textures.
We're going to roll through
the
textures.
HUD, especially.
We're going to redesign this castle. Look at what it was obviously trying to go after.
Yeah.
And redesign it to what a modern, you know what I'm saying?
Fighting like Tower Knight again for the first time, or just seeing the ruins of Bulgaria would be baller.
Exactly. That's what I mean, dude. Think of how magical.
I got a wallpaper to show you.
See, that's the problem. Look, when you see Shadow of the Colossus and you look at how amazing it looks, and you're like, oh my God, I would have never gotten to see this if it wasn't for one person being like, maybe we should just remake that game. And the team being able, it's one of those things like me and Sean were talking about, Sean Santarud, we're talking about what if they decided to remake Soul Reaver. How amazing would that look? Soul Reaver's way older, and Soul Reaver has so many cool ideas, like when you're shifting between the planes to do your puzzle solving between stuff. How cool would that look in a remake? And it gets to be a muddy area because, of course, I still want new games to come out, but at the same time, replaying these games that really haven't aged as well with this new set, with this new mindset would be a fantastic thing to do. But I don't, you can real quickly think of a million games you want to do, but then you got to go, well, which ones are the main? And I do feel like Demon Souls is one of the mains. It's a game that did not get enough attention, but it started and bred a series that is literally one of the biggest franchise as there is now. Or at least I would have said that it's a big franchise. Very respected.
It's Bulgaria, by the way. I said Bulgaria, but close enough. But look at how amazing
it's Bulgaria.
I'll smack you in your teeth. Look at how amazing you could picture that. Just expansive.
That's from the opening little scene that they're doing in that game. That's so cool.
That's from the opening castle. Tower Knight is the boss in that castle.
All right. Well, we've gone on long enough about this.
On the main topic. Let's ride the horse into the main.
I saw. Well, this was something that you specifically had a lot of interest in, and I think it's a great idea. So I'm gonna let you lead us off on this one. Go ahead, sir.
Sure. So Xbox threw down a pretty good slammer for their Games Pass members. Basically, now big ol' IPs such as Gears, Forza, Halo,
just to
Crackdown.
Yeah, just to tighten that up, it's just anything that is a Microsoft Game Studios published game from them is going to be on the service day of.
Right, day of for free. Now, obviously, not for free. Same sense as PS Plus. You pay for a membership and you get it. It's the same price as the membership for PS Plus for a year. It's $120. Yeah, I know. That's all I was laughing. But I got a Domino's advertisement after that made it more funny. But yeah, so basically you pay $120 a year and you get these games for free day of. And I thought that was pretty amazing. That's a really big move, and it's a move they need to do to keep up with PlayStation, or to even put them in the same pacing as PlayStation. Because right now, and there is a comment from one of our followers who has a good point.
And it's actually, and what's funny is a lot of it is specifically where I stand on it. And we talked about it very loosely the other day when because don't get me wrong. I'll say this on a surface level. Were you done with kind of your point?
Well, yeah, I was just saying that they basically have made their service really, really tight focused on those Xbox exclusives, and you get them for free. And that's
you get them at no added cost.
Yeah, no added cost to the $120 subscription.
And now that makes sense. So the first thing I want to get out before we even talk about Steve's comment, which I do very strongly agree with, is that in deciding to talk about this, I knew from the get-go that these are not necessarily meant to be marketed towards the exact same people, and they do different things. So with that being said, you've got to look at them objectively within the realm that makes sense, but there is some subjective nature of what you can see, of what you like about one and to another, because we're not saying what PS Now has to do. This is more like what I would like PS Now to do, specifically because of what they're seeing GameStop. GameStop. I can't remember. I think I looked at your screen. Specifically what they're seeing Xbox do with the Games Pass. They are different services, and they are ideally at different ideas, but I will say this, PS Now could be transitioned to be more in line with what the Games Pass idea is. But now I want to go into Steve's thing, because it's where my beginning of the argument really starts, but I have more to say. He says, I think it's in Sony's best interest not to follow Microsoft's race to the bottom. He's being a little more blunt than I would be with it, but I do agree with the sentiment. Just like with backwards compatibility, Microsoft is investing in everything but new games and studios. Hallelujah.
No games.
By offering the better content, Sony will always win. PS Now isn't what sells people on PS4. So,
nope. But what the purpose of this conversation is that PS Now isn't what sells people on PS4, but it can be something that can be turned around and used to gain more people and combat this pass, in my opinion.
And what it may be able to do too, because one of the things that Game Pass is going to do for people who own both consoles is going to be like, well, I already paid for the service because I wanted to get these exclusives, right? But now I'm also getting a few of these other games that I was going to get on PlayStation, but now I'm going to play them on Xbox because they're included in the service that I'm already paying for just because of the exclusives.
Right.
So there's the flip side of that is with Microsoft saying that, how much is we looked up the Games Pass is a monthly service, yes?
Well, I think you could do 6 months.
So you can pay by
$60. So it's the same price. It's $120 a year, $240 a year for everything. So which is the same price as PS Now.
Okay, so you're saying $240 a year. $120 a year
for Xbox Live, then $120 a year for Games Pass.
Exactly. Okay, so with that being said, with that being said, did Xbox even release enough games last year?
Or $100
to make it that real? I mean, it's a good service, but the service stops mattering if Microsoft goes through this whole year and only releases 2 games, because then you could have just bought the 2 games for $120. Are you getting extra on top of that? Sure you are.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of those things.
And that's a sticky area, but Microsoft at least does have, some games that they've not released yet that are kind of out in the either of where they're going to be released because they're being a little coy about those release dates. But the thing I want to say real quick, and then I want to see, because we loosely talked about it yesterday, I'm just going to want to see your fight. Or not your
That's
fight.
not a fight.
You're not your fight, but I'm saying like your side of the argument. I guess
it's not an argument. It's let's turn PS Now around to be a better service than Game Pass.
Exactly.
Or let's advance PS Now.
But I do think we stand on different sides of very specifically where Sony sits, because we've had the conversation before about the idea that and that's just what this comes down to. So what the idea behind what Games Pass is doing, and I've seen people throwing it out there on Twitter, and I think you even may have mentioned it, maybe not though, is the idea that this is the whole pro-consumer. So the whole idea is that now we get into the conversation that me and Saul had before, which is pro-consumer and anti-consumer, because for a lot of people, and it mimics what we as a country are doing right now as a whole, but there is no in between. There's a side and a side. So if you're not pro-consumer, you're inherently anti-consumer, is what a lot of people think.
No, yeah.
I'm not saying you, but a lot of people
I'm saying that's not even true.
So the conversation ends up a lot of the time going to, definitely within the people who are very vocal on things like Twitter and Facebook and social media, is that because Microsoft is doing this thing that they're now going to label pro-consumer, because Sony's not doing the same thing, they're going to look at Sony as less than an anti-consumer.
No.
I don't agree with that sentiment.
I don't agree with that
I've seen
sentiment
that
either.
sentiment. Now, I'm not saying that's widespread, but there's a vocal amount of people, even if it's a minority, there's a vocal amount of
That's
people
a very small
who share
minority.
that sentiment.
I haven't seen that at all. Yeah, that's completely incorrect.
Yeah, because I went through the comments when I clicked on it, and all these people were doing that. And then a couple of people, because I saw it a couple times throughout the day with a couple of bigger people, saying, this is Microsoft's making a very pro-consumer choice. I wish we could see Sony even attempt to be pro-consumer, which again carries the sentiment behind it that in turn, by them not doing this exact same, by saying he wishes that you'd see them even attempt, he's obviously saying that in his mind they are anti-consumer.
Which is a weird...
And I don't like that idea.
Well, first of all, and let me clear waters, because I didn't think Sony's anti-consumer as a whole. I thought that their one thing about ignoring
Crossplay,
a vocal
and that was what we were talking
outcry,
about.
yeah. Because that still sits as, I can't think of if it's on the Fortnite subreddit or if it's on like the PlayStation subreddit. It's like if you go and look at some of the top posts of all time on those subreddits, that's still one of them. And it's like, it's so many people agreeing to it. And I'll tell you right now, if it's the PS4 subreddit, that subreddit is toxic. Very, very toxic. And to see that many people agreeing with something is showing that there is it's not even a minority at this point. It's at least, like, I think it was 11,000 people have upvoted in agreement of that.
Yeah. Now here's, I don't throw around the word toxic a lot because I feel like that word gets used a lot. I don't go to it.
Toxic.
So I don't go to it. I have no horse in that race. But my point being is that gets thrown around very easily. But my main thing that I want to start my side of this with, and we started it with kind of what Steve's talking about, is that very well with what he says is that PS Now is not what sells people on PS4. Do you remember the other day when we first saw this, we were talking about, you like, it'd be cool to see Sony do something like that with PlayStation Now. And I was like, but here's the thing. They don't need to. Because and I know that you're not saying they do, but they stand to gain more by letting their games be on their own, because more people are going to buy their games based off the exclusives and buy a PS4, which will in turn lead them to most likely buy games specifically for the more they can keep you on the PS4, the less you'll want to leave it to go play another system, unless you're specifically playing with friends on the other system. You know what I mean? The more they can become your main system, the more they're going to make off at you, because not only do they want you to get a PlayStation 4, that helps them obviously, but once you have that PlayStation 4, the whole business idea behind this is that you buy games specifically for their platform, which they make a cutoff of every time you buy. So when that goes down and these games sell really well and they get a percentage per game that sells, they're doing well as a business. If they do not have to resort to these tactics, they don't have to. We saw them do things that were easily labeled as pro-consumer at the beginning of this generation, when they were still trying to ride out that PS3 mindset where they have to be a strongly pro-consumer and gamer industry friendly and like doing everything that's going to make the larger view of people view them in a positive light. They had that mindset in the PS3. We've seen Sony do that. Sony is not against doing these things, but what they're going to do is do the thing that fiscally makes the most sense for them. And the thing that makes the most sense for them now is to not follow Microsoft, because Microsoft is doing desperate is a kind of hard word to use for it, but they are doing the thing where it's like, we are in the lower position by a large margin. And what's funny is that Microsoft actually is in a different position than Sony was. By the end of the generation, PS3 had caught up with 360, like we talked about. But I don't think by the end of this generation we're going to see Xbox One, even with all these moves, and even with the Xbox One X. I don't think it will catch up to the PS4.
No.
So Microsoft is really just scraping to do whatever they can to get good public, hey, we're in the limelight now, we're good in the eyes of the public. Is it because of, is it wanting to have the back end of like, we're going to get them on our side and then we're going to do what we need to do from a business perspective? Probably. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's ill motives. It's just a business motive. You have to do what your business demands to keep your business alive. And if that's what they got to do, Microsoft has to do that. Now, Steve put it very bluntly that it's a race to the bottom. I don't use that wording normally, but it is a wording that really is strongly tied to what's going on. They are pushing themselves to razor-thin margins and different weird investments that they are not trying to push into games. So we're seeing PlayStation with the exact opposite mindset succeeding instead of Microsoft trying to copy what Sony's doing, going, you know what? Sony's having a lot of success by pushing out new IP or revived old IP through their own through their own studios. Why don't we do that too? Why don't we go bam, bam, bam? Here's 3 new studios we're going to open, and we're going to let we're going to let 2 of them make new IP, and we're going to let 1 of them make an IP to come back from our backlog of games we haven't seen them make in a while. And I would like to see them do that because I really think they would stand to gain more. Probably, but they have a different legacy than PlayStation.
Probably because their whole games division's in under. And they have to make a really good subscription service that people are going to pay for to actually get the money to fund these studios. I
don't know because Microsoft's
because Halo 6 hasn't even been announced yet.
Are they on a separate budget? And this is something I don't actually know the answer to. Like we were talking about where I work, we're on our own budget. They want us to flock by ourselves.
Yeah. I doubt that's the case with Microsoft.
I feel like Microsoft is directly pumping money into it. I feel like, and Microsoft has the capital. That's the whole point of where Xbox benefits. Is that they have Microsoft, one of the world's largest corporations, to have capital to do the things they need to do to force this business to go in the direction they need it to go. Are they losing money and in trouble? No. But you always stand to gain more by being on top. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, what I see this being, though, is I see this being what we've already heard tinkered with before through rumors, doesn't mean it's in the official channel, that they are going towards the idea of making Xbox a platform that is not actually tied to a system.
Yeah.
So I don't think I want to see Sony do that, at least for a while. I don't know that I ever want to see Sony do that. But there's evidence that I haven't seen that maybe that is a great idea from a business perspective. But for the time being, it looks like Xbox is trying to do what they can to get out of the manufacturing business to an extent, or at least putting their foot in the water to see what it's going to do. And then they're on the other side. They're like, okay, now we're going to see how well this does, how well we could do by just letting our first-party games come out on this service as an exclusive thing, and then maybe this service can just be on PlayStation. And our games that we make, we'll make the money back from those or whatever it be, but we'll also have these other things that we're just giving them as a service. And they could do what basically Sega became. Now, do they want to do that? I'm not saying they do, but they're at least flirting with the idea. Just like you see GameStop flirting with the idea of publishing their own games so that they have a life after the need for a used game store goes away. You're seeing them diversify what they can do so that when they inevitably can't do the one thing that they came into the business for, they can still survive in a new, different, evolved form. Sony, on the other hand, is on top. PS Now almost seems like a weird cry. And I've been talking for a while, so I'm going to let you hop off for a second.
I was going to say, not only that, but you got the entire topic of what I was wanting to be completely wrong. This is not what the topic in my mind was.
Well, no, and I know that. I went off on a little tangent, but here's the thing. You can't inherently...
That's why I'm rereading this. I'm like, he must not have heard me when I said what I wanted the topic to be.
Well, I mean, is that what you wanted the topic to be?
No, I wasn't meaning for PS Now to compete with Games Fest. I was wanting
a fun
topic.
Said I know it can't be, but go ahead. You go with what you wanted to talk about. I still think that what I said has a lot of it's a fun thing to think about to an extent, and I think it lets you kind of see where Sony and Microsoft's headspace differs. But
yeah, well, my whole thing was that what would be something fun or creative that Sony can do to implement a better PS Now experience, or to replace PS Now with a new a whole entire new program.
So you're saying kill PS Now?
No. I'm just saying
if
we can't make PS Now better in a sense, can we replace it with something that could be, or could we? And this came to my mind to give a backstory on the topic idea. is that when Microsoft did come out with that new crossplay news, or not crossplay, Games Pass news, and I was like, wow, they're kind of digging deep, but they kind of have to, because at this point you don't have Halo 6. I think Crackdown 3 has an actual release date, and if it doesn't, I would not be surprised.
I don't think it does. They've been very coy. It was supposed to be last year, if I'm not mistaken.
This thing, it just says 2018 into Google. It says, it says Crackdown from November 7th to spring 2018.
Yeah, and
so,
that wasn't what was originally supposed to
be. That doesn't have a release date. Gears of War, there's not even announced a new one for Gears of War. Forza, they may be working on one. I'm not a huge Forza fan enough to know. I did like Horizon 3. That's a fun game. But I digress. But yeah, my whole thing is that's a really cool service. And I'm not a Games Pass member of any kind, so I don't know what other benefit it offers. But it comes down to some people are willing to pay $120 a year for this service. And it got me thinking, what is a service that Sony could incorporate that would be, roughly the same price? But like, what features would it have? And like, what could we use as a service?
So that does naturally follow a little bit of what I said.
But it's not, I don't mean something to compete with. I don't mean something.
Well, but you are. I mean, even if it's a fun idea, but if the intent is, can they come out with something that's fun and unique or whatever it be? Not even. No,
this could be something that happens 3 years from now. I don't care when it happens. I'm just saying something.
It doesn't have to direct compete, but I mean, inevitably, if Game Pass stays around 3 years from now, and Sony comes out with something, it still acts as a competitor. Because you're looking at something that shares a somewhat common interest.
What I mean specifically is the way Steve put it as the race. And I'm like, this isn't about them competing in this sense at all. This new service.
Because Sony doesn't have to compete right now.
No, they don't. Exactly. They never will in this current generation. Unless Microsoft comes out the ass with, Halo 6 trailer, Xbox 5.
Scalebound comes back with
Final Fantasy VII episode, the last episode with the ending, is only available on Xbox or something like ridiculous.
I feel like that would actually hurt them. People be like, I didn't even play the other two.
Yeah, that's true. But it's something ridiculous. Microsoft's not going to come back from this. But what they can do is they can do they can keep doing their whole little PC, Play Anywhere service. Because that service actually can work for some people. But does
the Xbox Game Pass work on PC?
I'm pretty sure it does.
Because all the PC stuff is considered the Xbox now. Like none of it's Windows, it's Xbox.
There's still Windows Store to buy games and stuff on.
But it's inherently linked to Xbox.
I think it's just linked to your Microsoft account, which is linked to Xbox.
Yeah, it's all one service.
I don't know if it all
in their grand scheme. I think.
And it very well may become that way.
Yeah, it may not be just quite there. I mean, to be fair, I don't play on computer enough, and I don't have I don't have an Xbox One anymore.
I don't have Windows Store downloaded on my computer. I don't think I just do everything through Steam because I don't want. I think they're adding Master Chief Collection to PC one day, and that may be something cool. With
what are you trying to look up?
PC games and Games Pass, just to see, because I am curious.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
But my whole idea was that PS Now inherently isn't successful in this current day and age. I did know that some people.
I don't really know that it is. It's obviously not wildly successful.
I've never seen it recommended.
Yeah, it's obviously not wildly successful.
I've never once seen somebody on an online forum or in real life recommend PS Now.
We have one from Rob over at Square XO.
Oh yeah, go ahead and read that one then real quick.
Lord, hold on. Oh yeah, I was on the wrong thing. I apologize. Okay, so he says, personally, I love PS Now. Don't see it as a competitor or similar to Game Pass, which, again, I don't either. It's a way to rent 600-plus games you may never have touched on last gen. I use it quite a bit to find new games. If I like them, I'll buy them if long games. So what's funny about this is that I do like the idea of having a quick, easy way to be like, I don't know if I like this game or not. I'm going to spend $3 to find out if it at least touches the surface of what I like. If I do like it, I'm going to go buy it.
Games Pass is only available to PC. I mean, Xbox One.
Okay.
And it includes a hundred of Xbox One and Xbox One backwards compatibility games for free.
Sure.
So that cleared that up there because I didn't even know what the discounts were for Games Pass or anything.
Okay. Oh, well, I guess it's not discounts, I guess. But
well, I didn't know if it was like, you get games at a certain price off or whatever.
Yeah,
I didn't know what Games Pass was.
Yeah, sure.
Except the new thing.
Okay, so with that being said, though, it's something that you actually talk about sometimes where it's like you like the idea of being able to go. You remember when GameStop were flirting with the idea of a rental service? You were like, I'm going to go do that. There's obviously a use for PS Now in that sense, and renting games makes sense. But now, can you buy games on PS Now? Is that the thing? Is that what he means? Because the biggest complaint I see across the board with PS Now is that they chose to do it in a different way than what Games Pass did. Games Pass, you just download the game straight to your console and play it.
I don't think, PS Now is our rental service. Games are streamed. So, you wouldn't be able to buy a game anyways because it's streamed. You couldn't download the game.
Okay.
Unless you just buy the streaming rights?
And that's where I don't know. But my point being is that, so maybe he means like if he likes the games on there, he buys them, he plays them on the PS3 he does have, or PS4, whatever it be.
I think he means that he'll try them out with PS Now, then buy them
for his own for his own system.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I think that idea is cool, and there's a lot to be said of that because I was like, well, why don't you just try the games anyway and just return them if you don't like them? Well, one of the things that I remember from my PS Now beta experience is that you can choose any of the games and they're already installed. So remember the old days on PS3, like when I wanted to play Dragon Guard 3 the other day, and I realized that this old PS3 didn't have it because the last time I played it was on my Slim. My fat PS3 had to reinstall it, and it took a long time.
Yeah,
Man, did it take
but not everybody
time.
lives like 4 miles away from GameStop like we do. So it could be a 30-minute trip to where buying a game and then returning it as a rental could be a process that takes them around a week.
Sure.
Liam did say, though, he said, I love PS Now, but it needs more payment plans. I feel like it and Games Pass are great ways to get a bunch of games and rack up gamer scores. I agree with others that PS1 to PS2 options would be stellar, and we can kind of get to that in a second.
And
I
that's
agree.
a cool idea.
Yeah,
I do like that.
Maybe
bringing older games into it because right now it's just PS3, and they've recently, but probably been half a year of introducing PS4 into it.
Yeah, and what would really be cool is that if you could pay, say, $2.99 a month, and you get 2 game rentals a month, and
Yeah, and I think the reason that doesn't work is specifically because of the individual publishers who are allowing their games to be on this service. I'm sure the price is determined by them.
You could buy rent a game or whatever, and then 3 weeks into your month be finally finishing it up, and then the other game you rented goes to waste, or you can't get started because then if you do, you might lose progress or something. I guess the cloud could back that up.
Yeah,
in that case.
it does.
And then just rent it again as one of your games for the next month.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to look at that. That's really I don't quite know where I stand on that.
I used a free trial for PS Now that I got with Wolfenstein 1.
Oh yeah, see, I did it back in the beta. I haven't played it since, and it was okay, but the latency isn't.
There is latency there, and I always played with my PC plugged into my internet, and me and Brett have really good internet, so I don't understand the latency there. Like it's probably just the nature of streaming the game.
It is, and it's not the latency's
a
not
couple
awful.
milliseconds. Yeah,
you don't notice it on every game, but it's the same problem.
Well, that's what I did.
There is latency on PS Vita when you remote play.
I tried
Same thing,
just a
idea.
hair,
and it's less than on PS Now, of course, but you still go through that. But what's funny is some games you don't care. Like I played the entirety of the original Knack pretty much on my PS Vita in my bedroom. That was in the completely different area than my PS4, just because I was like, this is a fun game to do this on. And I thought it was a unique and novel idea at the time, and I still like the idea, but normally I'll just stay back here and play on my PlayStation 4. But my point being is that streaming is not always inherently an issue, but there are genres, like I did try and play Killzone Shadowfall on the even the PS Vita's streaming, and it was still enough of a delay to where you're like, it's
first-person shooters to me always, or what
action games.
They're the more forgiving, but I tried the first game. And it's the only game I tried in the 1 month because I immediately canceled it when it came time to. Was Demon's Souls, and I didn't
even know that was on there. I tried Samurai Warriors.
Well, it might have been Dark Souls 1.
Yeah,
but actually, let me look at that real quick. It was one of those 2 games, and I was just like, "This is like," I hit the analog stick, and 2 milliseconds later, he moves. I'm like, "That's too much to me."
Yeah. Yeah, that's a weird thing because on games where you have hair movements, it's an issue. So what I've seen a lot of on here is that people like to move it to, it's like, okay, Jeff over, Hazmat Jeff, he says, and I guess he changed his name, he was W squared. If PS Now was downloaded to the system and trophies were still obtainable, I would surely do it. Great, exactly what we're talking about with, while they still stand to be different services, the ability to download it to your system would work better. Even if it was renting, you know what I mean?
Yeah, if it was renting.
But then you're downloading. So again,
I don't care. I still pay, say, $10 a month to rent a game a month.
Because honestly, to stream it, you still have to have pretty good internet. So if you have that good enough internet to stream it, you could download it relatively quickly. Definitely PS3 games that were smaller.
Yeah, that's very true.
PS4 games get in a muddy area because you're talking about renting a game where, depending on your internet, you may have to wait 2 hours of your rent time to even play the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That is a sticky area, but I'm going to read a couple more of these, and then I want to kind of see what your grand idea for how it could change is.
Nope, never mind. It was Devil May Cry 4, not Demon's Souls.
Oh.
Yep, because I'm distinctly thinking
action
of it.
games, though.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they do rough. One thing on here that I've seen people talk about before, but it'd be really hard to do is... Or I say really hard, but it would be interesting, is Ricardo Jackson says, really, they could bundle it with PS Plus. An idea that's been tossed around a lot. or the lower the subscription fee. I doubt they'll do the same thing Xbox is doing with exclusives on day one. I agree. They stand to gain more by letting their exclusives make you want to buy the consoles than they do otherwise. But trying to bring that price down, I'm surprised they have not bundled it with PS Plus in some form or fashion. Where if you get both of them, you save $10 on each service.
A month, yeah.
Like instead of I don't know how much.
Not a month, a year.
Plus is a year.
That make it free.
I don't know how much now is a year. I know it's pretty expensive.
It's $100 a year, I think.
$100 a year.
Yeah.
So let's just say you got it for $90 a year, and you got PS Plus for $50 a year. So you save $20 overall. People would be more into doing that. You know what I mean? But it's interesting. Sean says, I'm worried that a full streaming service will mean the games could be lost forever if they are taken off and replaced by others. Personally, I have enough games going forward to not having to play older games, so don't use PS Now service. And I think what he kind of means by that is, like, say they're on PS Now and you start playing it and they get taken off and you can't even continue playing it. That's one thing. I also think an interesting idea would be, which there's going to be communication, but let's just say you really love a game that's on Xbox Games Pass, right? And it's starting to get removed from there, and you're like, oh man, this is how I play this game.
Yeah. So, and it could be one of those backwards compatible games that you can't find anymore.
Yeah, so. And see, now a lot of what Xbox has done is tried making them available for download on the store. That way they tie together.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Because I bet you that part of that Game
so
Pass
you'd at least be able to buy it again, even if it gets taken off of Games Pass. But I'm not quite sure how that works. But it's a reasonable worry within what he's saying. A couple more here. Champion of Ash. Yes, they can, but they will have to move away from the streaming service. This is in terms of, can they turn this around and make it a better service in terms of being more successful for them. They will have to move away from the streaming service, which is what everybody says, and be more like Xbox Games Pass, or you actually download the game onto your console. They will also have to lower the prices to compete with the Game Pass. It's a great idea, but it's too expensive. Now, again, I don't necessarily think that they should compete with each other because they are trying to go different ways. But in the grand scheme of making it more successful, I do agree. The ability to download the games, at least, like, say that you could stream them if you wanted to, but it was like, if you want a better experience, you can also download it. Bam! I would love that option. That would be cool. But see, the weird thing about PS Now is that PS Now is the culmination of their extremely expensive purchase of Gaikai.
That's true.
And that's kind of the problem.
And we all thought Gaikai was going to be the physical backwards compatibility with disc.
Well, no. Gaikai is all streaming. That was their idea. So, I mean,
that's right.
Because Gaikai were directly responsible for developing the chip that's in the Vita and the PS4 to let remote play be a thing. The streaming chip in the PS4.
Oh, what was the other one? Was there not another one called?
Not that I'm aware of. Gaikai was like, their cloud stuff. That's their whole thing. And the way that PS Now works is that there's PS3 basically in server racks, PS3 innards that sit there, stream a game through it, and it sends you this stuff out. And that's why you have latency, because you're putting direct control into something that comes in and bounce back. But yeah, I don't know, the whole idea behind it being streamed is to support that Gaikai functionality that they fought to buy. They basically were like, oh, we're going to buy this. It'll be a great purchase. We're now seeing that internet's still not strong enough to make that a reasonable thing, and that latency is something that you almost can't get over. I don't really know if there'll ever be internet speeds quick enough to make the latency little. You know what I mean? So how do you combat that?
You can't.
Definitely not for a few years to come.
Yeah. Well, almost any sort of streaming, there's going to be a latency of some kind, and it could very well be less than a millisecond. And
last one we're going to do is Ryan. He says, I would have subscribed to PS Now if it had PS1 and PS2 games day one. I think people would jump all over it. The problem is it jacks up remakes of games and the market for those. I would want the more niche stuff from the eras anyway, but he's not sure how it'd go. I agree. A lot of the stuff that you would want would probably not even be things that end up on the service, because the things that you want for a lot of people, like I have a PS3. The only conceivable reason I would need to get on there is if there's a PS3 game that they've added to the service that I cannot find a disc for, which I just, what's that going to be? Like Dragon Guard 3? Dragon Guard 3 is not on the service. It's not impossible to find, but it's a little harder to find. Nier a little bit harder to find than some. There are games that are hard to find, but those games already don't exist on the service, so I have no draw to go to them. And even then, those are two games that are so action-packed and quick that I wouldn't want to play them on that service anyway, unless they gave me the ability to download them to my console. Yeah. And that all comes back to PS Now's biggest idea is that it's going to have to move away from the idea that you're going to stream the game as a whole, at least until we know that we can make internet that's so fast that the latency is not even a problem.
And you'd have to acquire that internet and live in an area with that internet, so it's not always going to be available to everybody.
Yeah, and that's
It's
worldwide you have issues with that. Even
Yeah.
Nationwide, at least in America, you're going to have issues with that.
Oh yeah, certainly.
So some of your biggest markets will have issues with that. I think that there's a way they could turn it around, but almost all now that you said, like, even if it means killing it and coming up with something that makes way more sense,
like a rental game. Like I would pay $10 a month if they gave me, say, I don't know, a one PS3 game per month. You probably could do two, but like, let's say if we did one, it'd be cool that when my month was up, I'd get a notification saying, hey, go ahead and select your game for the month. If you select the current game, you can go ahead and back up with cloud saving and just rent the game again. That way, if I'm playing something like Demon Souls or Dark Souls, acquire. Why am I keep trying to say acquiring? I don't know. Given the fact that From Software will grant PlayStation the rights to put that on a streaming service, then I could continue playing something over the course of a month. Now, obviously, it could be something like Resistance, and that would mean that Resistance would have who made Resistance again?
Insomniac.
Insomniac, that's right, because they're completely gone now, aren't they?
No, Insomniac's making Spider-Man.
What am I thinking of? The other one, Neversoft.
Neversoft made they
Tony Hawk's,
yeah,
and Guitar Hero.
they've been absorbed into Infinity Ward.
Infinity Ward, wasn't it on THQ?
No,
man, I'm so
they're
confused
Activision, which is what Tony Hawk has always been published by.
Yeah,
you're really lost on something. So I don't know what that is.
Yeah, but anyways, so like, let's say if they could acquire the proper rights for everything that they needed, I would pay $10 to rent a PS3 game for a month. I mean, think about it.
The rights are going to be weird because you get the rights, but there's always it's the same thing you see on like PS View and even normal cable, where it's like it's all contractual of what you both agree upon,
and it could very well change.
Games will be taken off, games will be put back on, just like we see with Netflix and all streaming services. Stuff will come off. Then what happens? Because for it to be a viable streaming service like Netflix, Hulu, in terms of what they are for media, then does Sony or whoever owns that one, and see that maybe the first successful streaming company, maybe the streaming company that puts in for originals for themselves, where their games are exclusive to the streaming service, because that's a cool reason for you to want to do it. Now again, that means that the streaming service has to be good. There has to be so little of delay that you can't even tell. And you
keep saying streaming service. I'm talking about rental.
Oh, I know, but I'm just saying the idea of a streaming service as well. You bounce between the two of them. Streaming service is possible to work.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot of work. The rental service
is possible to work. But again, these are all things that within the contractual standpoints of what they get the rights to do and not do, it's all going to be games that come in and out of that renting service.
Right.
Because I just can't see anything where they get the rights to put literally every PS3 game.
Of course not. And it doesn't even have to be. That's another thing, is that you could very well download PS4 games. And obviously, it's going to be similar to... was it PS Now that was about to add, that we were talking about adding Horizon? What was that we were talking about?
Oh, I don't think anything's added Horizon now. There are PS4 games on PS Now.
I know,
but they're all earlier, like God of War 3 Remastered, The Last of Us.
So like, it would be similar to that, where
Killzone Shadow Falls on there.
You definitely wouldn't put out that you would that you would have, Horizon or Witcher or something. Things
that are still making money.
And you could do it the same as you do PS Plus, where it is, $10 a month or, $100 a year. And it could be where if you don't have the service, you can't access those downloadable games. And
yeah, so it'd basically be what PS Plus does in that sense.
Yeah,
where the games are always
cheat
there.
The system, but anyway.
Well, see, what's a little bit different about PS Plus is that you're just getting the game for that month. As long as you download it, they never contractually leave PS Plus. If you lapse PS Plus for 5 years and then come back as long as PS Plus is still a thing, any game that you ever got, you can start playing.
Right.
Again, that wouldn't work on this system, because it will be contracted. These are the games we're going to let you.
It'll be a month-to-month basis. So if you rented it and your
because otherwise it is just PS Now. It's just a really sweet PS Plus. It's a really sweet PS Plus.
Yeah.
Like, all you got to do, if we ever add it to the service and you add it, you get to play it anytime you want. That would be insanity.
See, and that's one of those things that Games Pass coming out with this new thing inspired me to just wonder, what would be something cool that I could see as streaming, rental, something like that we don't see, because just about anything that Sony could do now that would be successful is just a further kick in the dirt to Microsoft, because they...
I mean, that's true. Sony stands to gain the ability to just go, hey, look, we did it too, and we're already ahead of you, and now we're also doing this, and possibly even better.
But
honestly, I don't see that.
They stand
to gain more trying to make PS Now making money in the current capacity that it is. Though they've not been afraid to do stuff. I mean, like we said, they trimmed away the ability to play it on PS Vita. You cannot do PS Now on Vita. You can't do it on smartphones.
That's true.
TVs, not even Sony TVs. My brother,
you can still do PS Now on PC. From what I remember,
PC and PS4 are the only two.
You can still do remote play on PC too. I think, right? Can you do remote play on PC?
I think so. Yes.
Because I think there's a way that you can set up a stream. Where you can Twitch stream. And
I'm pretty sure
you can use OBS and remote play.
You remember they came out with a little dongle that was specifically used to make it where the DualShock 4 was completely compatible with PC.
Is that the one you have?
No, I don't have it. I just use a Bluetooth one.
Okay. I don't guess I ever did hear about that.
That is something they came out with. So, I mean, they're obviously not afraid to
see how much that costs.
Changes.
I'm going to have to buy one of those.
They are trying to make PlayStation Now as successful as they possibly can within the realm of what they have. But I don't know, man. I don't see how they come back with PS Now in any way that's really successful. And I don't really see how they even do that. We know they don't need to compete.
$51 for this wireless dongle?
I wonder if they just stopped making it. Is that straight from Sony?
Straight from Sony.
Ugh.
$51.90.
Nope.
Oh my goodness.
All right, so
those are
your perfect thing that they do. Let's just say that PS Now stays because your thing sounds like it's edging towards which PS Now is a rental service. To be fair,
it is. It really.
So I guess what we're going to say is that PS Now won't stay. Necessarily, I mean, PS Now will stay, but it will be that what you're wanting is just incorporated into the way PS Now works.
Yeah.
And I think that there's reasonable, like, that could work. But it's going to take Sony just realizing that the Gaikai thing is like the ability. It
was a waste of money.
The ability to let people. No, I don't think it was a waste of money. Remote play has done well for them.
That's true. That's the one thing though.
And share play has also come from the Gaikai thing. And share play is a really
share
cool
play did kind of work though. The delay in that was just as bad as the delay in PS Now.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It is. I mean, you're streaming regardless. You are streaming.
I'm talking about from when we played Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, I know. But that's what I'm saying. So when you're doing that, streaming is still the issue because of the problems with latency. And you say we have good internet. We have good internet. We don't have the best internet by far.
No.
We have good internet. We have good, solid internet.
We have very solid internet.
So, I mean, even with our good, solid internet, we're not getting the great. That's a service that's not really marketed at us. That service really only works well for people. England seems to have a much better infrastructure than we do, so they probably are a good place for that. Places like California that have really, really good speeds probably are doing better in that regard than we are, but it's PlayStation Now is such a weird thing to talk about because I almost don't even know how you make it successful without completely dropping the idea of streaming or giving the option. And if that's what they're going to do, then fantastic, but I just don't ever see them giving the option. Letting me download the game to my console, but then again, how do you play it? Because the reason that streaming is there is that the streaming is what makes you play the PS3 game because Sony, and I'm not saying they're lying or what, there's no way to tell because they're the only people that could really know.
Fate's End will let us know. I mean, World End will let us know.
Yeah, but there's more to that because the sale's a very different architecture. So Sony has the best reason ever is why the only reason that this is a streaming service only is because there is no way that has been done or announced or made yet that you can play PS3 games natively on PS4. So how are you supposed to download these games anyway?
Yeah, because I know, what is it called, like PS3 PSS or something where you can play PS3 games on a computer?
I didn't know there was an emulator for it because it's...
Yeah, I don't know if it works well or not. I do know people have been... They were even playing... Persona 5 because of that on PC because it didn't come to PC, so they were emulating the PS3.
Yeah, I mean, so it's wild, but
it is one of those things. Though, it's like where I don't know if they're using that. Do you think they're maybe using that as an advantage to make these remakes and remasters and sell them that way instead of people playing them?
They could,
natively?
but I don't know because for a long time the industry was getting tired of, or at least the people the consumers were getting tired. At least a pretty vocal set. We're getting tired of there being nothing but remasters and remakes.
Boy, come on over to the Switch. You'll love it here.
All you're gonna get remasters, remakes. Not even remakes. Right now, just remasters.
Just remasters. So $60 remasters of a $40 Wii U game, or a $20 Wii U game, according to Blaze.
Well, it was $20 at one point in its lifespan.
Because Nintendo Selects. No, Nintendo Selects like PS2 greatest hits. They're always going to be $20 after that.
Yeah, but when they still make them, because they quit making them still, eventually.
Wait, they do?
From my understanding, when I worked at GameStop and they had Legend of Zelda there for 3DS, and it went to Nintendo Selects. Once they quit making that for Nintendo Selects, you couldn't buy it new anymore.
That's how we got it. We got like 2 months ago.
Okay, cool.
Ocarina of Time.
I guess they did keep going. Maybe they just
Stopped
ran out
selling it.
and
Yeah,
they-
because that's when they were like $400 on eBay for that game.
Yeah, that game was
Which is
ridiculous. Yeah. So,
Jinx Pigs Pojo.
all right, well, so, I mean, I liked your idea, and I guess we did have different ideas on what they were, but you know,
Yeah.
inherently they are competing. No
it
matter
was
what
more.
you do.
It was more of a creative, fun topic of like, hey, let's make PS Now something we would like to use, because as of now we don't, and we can't because of just internet restrictions.
Yeah, I mean, and even our small bits of share play were really fun, but streaming is just the issue.
We
You know
definitely
what I
were
mean?
having problems with Dark Souls 3 in doing so too, because I remember we both were like, I know I dodged, I'm dead. Like,
Yep.
we both had, and that's more than 2 or 3 milliseconds of hitting that button and not doing an animation than dying. But it's there for a fun reason, and hey, I've heard of people letting the wrong people control their share play and then deleting their Destiny characters. So there's some entertainment there, kids.
I did not know that was a thing. That's mean.
People were like, I can get you the secret Galahorn, and people were like, Kira's like, yeah, and they were like, I'm so ready to be max level, and then they're like, why are you going to the menu? They're like, wait, why are you holding down triangle on my character? And the character's going like, what are you doing?
I thought you could kill but I guess maybe the shock of what's going on.
Probably so. I can show you a couple of videos that are hilarious.
I'm about to look at that. I wonder if those are just made for comedic effect. Who knows?
That's a possibility too, I guess.
All right. Well, Saul, thank you for joining me again this week. And until next week, we will see you guys later.
Thank you, everybody.